All right, I wanted to just make some points, take a minute to talk about Samadhi a little bit. Um, Now, we'll just start out with this little reference here to give a generalization of some of the thoughts that exist around Samadhi. Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, these three pose a shift in the limbs of yoga and are a type of necessary ends from a necessary means, always disciplines of practice, but empty in the sense of their full potential without the other five limbs. For one can have mastered dharana and dhyana in life, but from a method of yoga and the other five limbs, the seven together more or less create the proper conditions inside the mind, body, and spirit for a transformation to the soul, a completely new but always intended result of nature. Samadhi, as the eighth limb of yoga, could be considered as the entire tree or the fruit in which it bears. The mere existence of becoming what is intended, not its own limb of yoga, but the result of the seven being applied with careful, dedicated consideration. Samadhi happens as we are bringing it about. We are learning to allow ourselves to become that intended human being by learning to remove bits of the inhuman history that has been programmed into us. Now, if we reference Book 1 in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, on the 17th Sutra, he gives a simple statement about Samadhi, and then Sri Swami Satchidananda gives a very thorough commentary about the different kinds of samadhi, the levels of samadhi that exist. And he cites that there are several types, which I will allow you to get into the book yourself to read about that. He does, however, cite a few of these. And the point being is that there is levels to samadhi. There is different types of samadhi depending on what sort of thing you are focusing on, what sort of state of mind you appear to be channeling, and the type of preparation that has brought you to what the impending result of samadhi means for you. So, for example, if I am practicing dharana and I am focusing on something and I am beginning to concentrate and understand it, that's all very well and one thing. But the mental the aggregate of the mental focus that is needed in dharana will still be compelling the system to offer up energy and dedicated focus. That shifts a little bit in dhyana, where now we step outside of the effort that it takes to maintain an understanding of something or to focus on something, and it shifts to a much more effortless flow. It becomes like a river that is lazily flowing, or perhaps a mountain spring or a brook, where from something deeper within us comes the effortless flow that is easy to get lost in. And not lost in the sense of I don't know what I am anymore, but lost in the sense of things and time and space cease to have the pull or the sway or the push of presence upon us, where it seems so important, or not even that, but just in the forefront of our minds, where there's always the outside consideration trying to steal that peace of mind from us. And dhyana can be achieved just within the self, it can be achieved upon an object, it can be achieved upon a relationship, or a problem, or a concept. What I'd like to present about Samadhi is that when we are achieving some sort of dhyana and dharana, that can happen with incredible amounts of focus and training, and we can call this concentration, understanding, and wisdom. Now, outside of a yogic sense, anybody can achieve these things and achieve great understanding through concentration about certain objects, ideas, or concepts, and ultimately achieve some type of wisdom around that thing. Within that, he discusses the kind of responsibility that we need to have when achieving the wisdom and the understanding of these things, so that we are given the necessary moral conductors to help us do good and true things with that power that comes within Samadhi, so that we are not unjust or immoral. Thus comes in the things that we learn in the first 7 limbs of yoga, or even the first 5, really. The yamas and the niyamas, which are helping us understand our relationship with the outside world and others. And we also have, prana with the force, pranayama with the breath, even pratyahara, which is the turning inward from the senses. All these things are helping us establish these outer banks that form the stream that flows, so that we can find a true direct path back to self, to oneness, to Brahma, to God, and to the divine power that exists within all of us. Thus, yoga practice and the science of it helps us deliberately curate a space that helps us fill the life with genuine morality, to bring about this space of dhyana and samadhi that is edifying to us, and thus in turn edifying to those around us by how we use the power and the understanding that comes. And something that I just want to point out for myself that I believe that is significant as a revealing aspect of samadhi is in the sense of meditation. When I am in dhyana and I am meditating, if I am then flowing, time and space is no longer necessary for me to contemplate, I am thinking other things, or I am free of thoughts entirely. With the next step into samadhi comes the presenting of new understanding. New in the sense as it is something that I did not come up with on my own. It is beyond the contemplation that exists within the artifacts of my human mind through experience, study, understanding. It is new in the sense that it has come from something entirely outside of myself, and the context of it is something that I am entirely incapable of perceiving or coming up with on my own. It's a channeling of an artifact that exists outside of myself, if that makes sense. Therefore, I am presented with a new level of understanding of I, you, Brahma, and existence, or the soul. And it becomes apparently obvious that this thing I am understanding and bringing back to integrate into my life was handed to me by something other than my embodied self, the context of my mind, and a conglomerate of my experiences. No, it has been through yogic practice of daily yamas and niyamas. It is through the harnessing of pranayama by understanding what prana is. The asana that helps me find the space in my body to sit in contemplation and forget the body as easily as maybe the mind can be forgot. After dedicated practice of dharana and dhyana, and outside of all that are these different levels of samadhi. And within those becomes this space where I am presented with a new artifact about myself, about the world. And I can take it as a gift and bring it back and integrate it into my life as a new thing to put on the shelf of artifacts of my humanness. Therefore, there is a shift in the understanding of me as an individual and how I interact with the world and how the world affects me. Because you are turning into this seedless meditation where it is outside of the perceivable world and in touch with something that is much more responsible for existence as a whole. And that is like a melding or a caretaking or a hand-in-hand walk with prana. And where that exists is, once again, like I said, for me at least, revealed in the sense that that bliss, that oneness, will often offer you some kind of artifact of Brahma or prana or the vortex in a level of understanding or wisdom that you can bring back and integrate into your life.